right, we're at the specialist. Pretty waiting room. Just waiting. I'm super nervous. I'll let you know how it goes afterwards. Okay, I am back home. I had to give myself a couple hours to kind of calm down a little bit from the appointment. The reason for this appointment was when I went to my anatomy scan with my regular doctor. She was concerned by the baby's belly size and was also a bit concerned by how fast the baby's heart was beating. She didn't know if there were specific markers that would show that there was something wrong, that there was some sort of genetic abnormality or, you know, like chromosomal abnormality. So the point of this specialist visit today was to go and get a full ultrasound done of the baby, to allow a specialist who specializes in neonatal care to look at the baby, look at how each of the organs are functioning, the kidneys, the heart, you know, just every little thing, looking at brain, looking at the brain and making sure everything is where it needs to be, that everything that's supposed to be closed is closed or open is open or whatever. Doing things like measuring the nose, the nasal bone here, the bridge of the nose. And my doctor wanted this done before my next appointment with her because she just wanted to know what we were dealing with in regards to the baby before we did any further blood work on me. I've just been trying to do everything I can do to live normally and not think about what could go wrong or what could be wrong. The reason for that is because I didn't want to give myself more unnecessary anxiety than I already feel. In this pregnancy, I don't know why, but I am anxious, I'm agitated, I'm incredibly short-fused, and not like with the kids or with Roman, but like with every little thing. Like everything just sort of makes me nervous, and I feel like my heart racing, and I just feel like I'm never at rest. Like I get my blood pressure checked and they say my blood pressure is great. I don't feel like I'm great. I feel like I'm having full-on anxiety, panic attacks. I feel incredibly stressed, and I don't know why. Whew, like even right now, just talking about my anxiety, I feel these flare-ups. Like I feel incredibly tense, and the doctor was not really nice. Like I would not want to go see her again if I had a choice. Like I didn't get along very well with her. I laid down on the little table so she could do the ultrasound, and she immediately started commenting, oh, you know, you've gained so much weight in this pregnancy, and, you know, looking at where you started, you know, you're just so big, and that's the reason why the ultrasound probably had difficulty. Hold on, because I have to translate from German into English what she said, and I don't want to mess this up. She said that's probably why it was difficult for any ultrasound, that's what she said, any ultrasound to check on the baby because you are too fat. I'm not that big. Like, okay, I get it, I'm overweight, whatever, but I'm not. There were women in the waiting room 3 times the size of me. Like I see people walking around with baby prams much larger than I am. I just find it very hard to believe that that's the sole reason, that I am just so fat. And I got really pissed. And by this point, I did get pissed because obviously weight gain is something that I take very seriously. I have lipedema, for God's sakes. Like, I'm very well aware of how my body gains weight and doesn't lose weight. Like, I get that completely. So I didn't need her to point all these things out in the way that she did. I already know what my body does. You know, this is the first time she's ever seen me in my pregnant belly. This is the 3rd baby that I've carried. And in every single pregnancy, my legs get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because that's what lipedema does. It just swells you up and you never deflate. And so she was like, yeah, you know, you really need to watch what you eat. Well, no kidding. No kidding. That's why I follow a pretty regimented low carb diet. It's because of my lipedema, because there's no other way to control it than to completely control and regulate what you eat. In every single one of my pregnancies, all 3 of my kids have had big bellies. Don't know why, because at least with Calvin and Linnea, it was not just gestational diabetes related. I know in my heart that if I have something like diabetes, it's not because of anything I have done, and I know that. I just wish that doctors wouldn't automatically accuse you of being a problem. You know, I wish that doctors would be a little bit more open-minded to the fact that maybe genetic conditions exist, maybe medical disorders exist, maybe things exist now that you didn't know about 100 years ago in a medical book, but now they exist, and now we know more, and now we're researching, and now we understand that there are things that are actually beyond your control. And that doesn't make a person less intelligent when it comes to their health, because I felt like she was talking to me like I was dumb because I was bigger or because I gained weight. So I must be stupid. And I didn't appreciate that. And she also, what I found very odd was she kept Roman out of the ultrasound room while doing the initial look at the baby. And there were a couple of things that were confirmed. Our baby's gorgeous. He's beautiful. And it is in fact a boy. And he's gorgeous. He looks so much like Callum. It was so crazy to me. He was just beautiful. Like I looked at his little face. I got to see a 4D of him and a little video, and he was just beautiful. I mean, just beautiful little boy. We have really beautiful kids. He's in the 70th percentile for weight. And the doctor was like, oh, you know, you don't make small babies. Like, that's a bad thing. I make big babies. Callum was over 7.5 pounds at 38 weeks pregnant. He would have gotten bigger, I'm sure, if he had gone the whole time. Linnea was 5 days late, and she was 9 pounds, 1 ounce. So yeah, I mean, I make big babies, and I make big babies. I don't know. I mean, Roman's a big dude. I was a big baby at birth. Like, we just make big babies. They're beautiful and they're healthy, but they're just big babies. What was good was, you know, she looked at the baby's heart. The baby's heart is functioning very well. No complaints, no concerns there. Kidneys, everything's fine. So at least on the heart concern, there were no issues that she saw. And according to taking the measurements of everything, like measuring the baby's bones and head and all, you know, just taking all the measurements, she found that due to the measurements, I have a 1 in 2,000 chance of having a baby with a genetic abnormality. So like, that's great. It's measuring in some ways further along, like the legs are longer, you know, but again, look at Roman. So it's like none of this is a surprise. The belly is measuring bigger. The baby itself is just measuring bigger. I'm really happy that as far as the baby is concerned, the baby's beautiful and he's healthy. And I was so nervous. I was so nervous about something going on or being wrong with him, and I just felt so relieved that he's great. And he was so cute, and he was waving and kicking. And what I'm just not pleased with is I'm not happy with how I was treated. At some point she did allow Roman into the room. So then she gets back onto this food topic again, saying, well, you must have diabetes. And I said, in my last 2 pregnancies, they also tested it. I might have diabetes this time. That might actually be a very real possibility. But she just went on and on and on about how much weight I gained and how big my legs are. I did not want to hear any more BS coming out of her mouth about how I am eating unhealthily, how I need to lower my sugar intake, how I need to calm down with how much food I'm eating, blah, 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 blah. I did not want to hear any more of that. And finally, I just, like, after this whole appointment of just being shamed, it felt like, I said to her, I am well aware that this is not a perfect pregnancy. I am well aware of that. I've had 2 kids before. I've done this rodeo a time or 2 before. I understand that there are concerns for the baby's belly size or whatever. I think it would do you some good to actually go and research what lipedema is before you start talking to me and pointing fingers at me about what I'm doing wrong in this pregnancy. I think it would be best if you informed yourself before you open your mouth and sound like an idiot to me again. And she didn't say anything. And I have found that when you kind of call people out on that kind of stuff, when you know, if they want to be honest and say what they want to say to you, you don't have to take that. And I don't take it. My other doctor is concerned for me as a patient, but she's not judging and blaming and pointing fingers and most of all shaming me. And I will tell you, it's doctors like that that make people like me not want to go to the doctor or not want to get checkups or not want to see if I'm being healthy, because we get shamed for being fat when in fact we have a condition that keeps us this way. And it does more damage than good. And what it does is, and luckily I'm older now and I know to literally deflect it. I know that is not a me issue. I know that was a her issue, and I'm older now and I know that. But when I was younger, especially my first pregnancy with Callum, when everything was new, I didn't have the wisdom that I have 2 pregnancies later. What it does is it creates a very, very dangerous relationship between a woman and food. And what it does is it makes a woman not want to eat, and a woman needs to eat in her pregnancy. Now, I understand making healthy choices, and I understand being accountable for what you eat. If I were younger and perhaps in a different mindset, I would take those comments very personally. And I would take comments of other doctors that I've seen in Germany very personally. And I would probably have a very unhealthy relationship with food where maybe I don't eat enough. I'm smart enough to know that this is the body that I have. These are the cards that I have been dealt. And I know that the healthiest thing for me and my baby is that I eat enough, that I eat a wide variety of food, particularly vegetables and protein and things that will make him healthy. And I know to take those comments that she says about eating too much when I don't eat too much. I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm exercising. I know that I'm making good choices. And I know to just brush her comments aside and say, to hell with her, because I am wiser now. But I will not accept a doctor shaming me in any way. I hope that maybe she's not educated this time, but maybe the next time a woman puts in big bold letters, I have lipedema, you know, underlined with exclamation points all over the page, which is what I did. Because I want my doctors to know that I have this, because it is something that I have to deal with. It does affect my pregnancy. Lipedema presents itself in puberty in girls. Why? Because of hormones. Things like pregnancy escalate lipedema. Why? Because of hormones. My doctor, whatever doctor sees me, needs to know that I have this condition because it responds to hormones. And my hope is that maybe the next time she has a woman that is in her office that says, I have lipedema, maybe she'll be a little bit wiser. Maybe she'll think twice before shaming her or calling her fat, or questioning her dietary habits, or maybe, I don't know, just maybe try to work with the patient and figure out what's going on rather than automatically point fingers and point blame, and find a solution that is not only mentally healthy for the mother, but most importantly, healthy for the baby. And a healthy mom is a healthy baby. Even Roman was like, what are you talking about? She eats so well. She eats salad and vegetables at dinner. She has like 100 grams of protein like chicken or turkey. She doesn't snack on sugary things. Maybe she has like an occasional piece of fruit, but when she eats fruit, it's like berries and stuff that's typically not high in sugar. And I mean, I was kind of surprised actually that Roman said that, but Roman was like, no, that's not her. And I was really glad that he said that, because it's just like, well, she didn't argue that. You know, she didn't question him or question his take on my life choices, which don't even get me started on that. I've lived overseas long enough, and I feel like I am old enough to know what's important and what's not. And I've learned in really the last 10 years that the opinion of strangers doesn't really matter to me. Doesn't really matter. There are people that I know and their opinion really still doesn't matter to me, because everybody has an opinion and you're not going to make everybody happy. And you still have to live your own life according to your own choices and make your own choices and do what you want to do. And I will always be respectful to people, because I think you should still be respectful, but I will never allow other people to disrespect me. So as far as anxiety goes, my anxiety was through the roof, that appointment, but I needed to come home and kind of come back down a little bit before I started talking about it. And at the end of the day, I'm just more than happy that our baby boy is healthy, and we both saw him in his sweet little face. So, yeah, I'm more excited now knowing that he's okay. He's gonna be okay. You know, I don't even care. I don't even care about that doctor. I don't even care about her. We're done with her. We're done with her. I'm done with her. I won't be going back to her. You know, at the end of the day, the baby's healthy, and I'm relieved.